Okay, so can you please tell me about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Dikshit Jain and I have around 3.6 years of experience in IT industry. So currently I'm working with Cognizant and I have working experience on Java, Spring Boot, microservices, Spring Data JPA and databases. I also have some experience with JavaScript and TypeScript. So my recent project was a smart household management system, and this project basically monitors the energy consumption of home appliances. So if any consumption crosses the certain threshold or limit, then it sends the notification to the users and it generates the monthly bill. And then we have implemented this using a microservices architecture with around 3 4 services. So MySQL for data storage we are using, and Git for version control also we are using, and we are using Kafka for real-time updates and notifications are sent to users. Yeah, so that's what is all about myself. Yeah.
Okay, what approach you are following to send the notifications? Are they real time or it's not?
Yeah, we are sending a real-time notification. So we send it via email, so using Java Mail API. So for real-time updates, we use Apache Kafka so that events like threshold breaches can be pushed instantly to the notification service. So yeah.
Okay, so can you explain the microservices you have implemented in your project and how they communicate with each other and what advantages you see?
Yeah, so in our household appliance system, we have various microservices. Like we have appliance service, we have consumption service, and then we have billing service, then we have notification service. So these services mostly we are using. Basically, each service had a well-defined responsibility and they communicate with each other via REST API and Kafka for asynchronous events. So in that, like a plan service is we are using for to manage the registration and detail of the home appliance, like whatever the name, type, power and rating and all is there. And it also exposes the REST endpoints for adding, updating and retrieving the appliance data. And then we have this consumption service, so it tracks and store the energy consumption data from each appliance, and it communicates with appliances services to validate appliance details. And also it publishes the consumption event to Kafka whenever the new readings are recorded. And then in the billing service, that listens to Kafka events from the consumption service, and it also aggregates the monthly consumption data, so for each user, and it generates the bill. Okay, and then we have notification service, so that basically subscribes to Kafka topic for events like consumption threshold or bill generated and all. And then it also sends the email notification to the user using the Java Mail API. So yeah, so basically we are using synchronous and asynchronous way of communication here. So wherever the Kafka is there, there we are using asynchronous way, and synchronous way like services like billing service that call appliance service over REST to fetch the appliance details. And advantages are like they are independent for the deployment of each service can be we can do independently. And also fault tolerance is there, so if one service fails, then also other service will be keep on running. And we have written the different fallback methods in case of any failure of the services. So yeah, so these are the advantages are there.
Okay, so in your project, how did you configure the Java Mail API? Can you tell?
Yeah, in our project we configured the Java Mail API by setting up the SMTP properties in an external configuration file, so that the same code could be used across the multiple environments without modification. So we defined the properties like mail.smtp.host and smtp.port, smtp.auth, and yeah. So basically, for the server host name and ports and authentication, we have these properties, and we injected these properties into our email service through a configuration class in Spring Boot. So that basically creates a Java mail server bean, and this allowed us to send the email using the Spring, like we have a MIME messenger helper, so that we can use for both plain text and HTML formats. So yeah, so this way we have configured it.
And what SMTP server did you use for sending emails?
Yeah, we used the like organization's official SMTP mail server. So we have our own mail server. So that was configured in according with the IT security policies. So for development and testing environments, we used a mock SMTP server. Like we had a mail trap, so we could test email sending without actually delivering the message to end users. So we can configure there our email ID for the testing purpose, and in the actual production environment, we had to set up our client had to set up their own. But yeah, in our local, we used our local servers. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so how can we integrate Kafka in a Spring Boot application?
For that, first we add a Kafka dependency in pom.xml in case of Maven project, and then we configure the producer and consumer properties in application properties or YAML file, and then we can use annotations like at the rate of Kafka listener to consume messages and at the rate of and sorry a Kafka template to produce the messages. So after that, finally we decide which service require real-time event processing and integrate Kafka there. So yeah,
Okay, what is the Java version you are using currently?
yeah. Currently, I'm working with Java 17 in my self-learning and practice environment, but I have implemented projects earlier in Java 8 and Java 11. So yeah,
Okay. Okay, so can you tell me what are the basic features of Java? Just maybe only the points.
yeah. So features like Java is object oriented, so it supports concepts like inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, encapsulation and all. Then it is platform independent. So once we write, we can run anywhere through bytecode, and it can be executed on JVM. And then it is secure, so it runs inside the JVM and it avoids direct memory access. And it is portable, it is high performance, so and it is multi-threaded also, like it supports concurrent execution of multiple threads. So yeah, so these are the features there in Java.
Okay, what are the types of inheritance in Java?
Types of inheritance, it can be single inheritance, like one class inherits from the another, and it also can be the multi-level inheritance. So like let's say we have a class A, so A class inherits from the another, and another class inherits from it. So like kind of making it a chain, so that is multi-level. And then hierarchical, so hierarchical, so like multiple classes inherit from the same parent. Okay, so in that case it is hierarchical. And then there also can be the hybrid inheritance can also be there, like a combination of two or more types of inheritance, whatever I have stated earlier. So yeah, so these are the types of inheritance we have.
Okay, can you explain in very short what is the difference between compile time and runtime polymorphism?
Yeah, so compile time polymorphism, like that can be achieved through the method overloading. So methods have the same name but different in number of types of parameters. So for example, let's say we have a method, let's say add method is there, okay, and it has let's say parameters like int a, int b, okay, and then again let's say we have another method with the same name, void add, and it has the parameters like let's say double a and double b, so it accepts double, okay. So this is like what is called the compile type polymorphism. And then we have runtime polymorphism, so that is achieved through the method overriding. So a subclass provide its own implementation of the method already defined in the superclass. So for example, let's say we have a class animal, okay, and it has a method sound, okay, and then let's say we have a dog that extends sound, okay. So this dog is basically overriding the method of the sound. So here whatever the sound we will write in the dog class, so if we are creating the object of this dog class, in that case it will basically override the sound method, and whatever the implementation we have written in this inside this dog class, that will be printed. So yeah.
Okay, okay, fine. So what is the difference between heap and stack memory?
Heap and stack memory.
Yes.
Yeah, so stack memory basically stores the method calls and local variables, and heap memory stores the objects and instance variables. And in stack memory, memory is allocated and deallocated automatically when methods are invoked and returned. And heap memory, like it managed by the garbage collector. So it also, heap memory has like different areas, like we have young generation, old generation, then string constant pool. So all these are the part of the heap memory, and stack memory is basically faster, so it can be accessed faster than the heap. So these are the differences are there.
So where does the main method stored? It's in heap or stack?
Like when a program starts, the main method is loaded into the method area, so that's the part of JVM memory. So local variable inside the main like go to a stack, and any objects created inside it, that goes to the heap. So yeah.
Okay, let's say suppose you are reading millions of records from a file and need to remove duplicates efficiently from that file. Okay, so which collection would you use and why?
Yeah, so in this case, I will use hash set. So because it does not allow duplicate elements, and it provides the like O of 1, so that is the time it provides. So I would use a hash set, and since it is based on the hashing, so it is much faster than the like list based approaches for checking duplicates. So yeah, we will be using hash set.
So what is the load factor in hash set?
Load factor is like in Java the default load factor is 0.75 actually. So basically this means the when the hash set is 75% full, so it will resize or double the capacity to maintain the performance. So yeah, so it is 0.75 it will be, yeah.
So what is a builder design pattern? Can you tell me in very short?
Yeah, the builder design pattern is a creational design pattern that helps construct complex objects step by step. So basically it is useful when an object has many fields, and we want to avoid like telescoping constructors, like constructors with the many parameters. So if we want to avoid that, so in that case we can use builder design pattern. So basically this builder design pattern improves code readability and flexibility by allowing the method chaining while setting the object values.
Okay, can you give me one next small example? How would you create a builder design pattern?
Yeah, so let's say we have a computer class, okay, and in it have various properties like CPU, RAM, storage, and all. Okay, so uh, in that case, what we will do that we will just create a constructor of a computer, and the its parameter will be builder. So builder will be the parameter, and we can just say this dot CPU RAM storage equal to builder dot CPU builder dot RAM builder dot storage. And then we can again have the static class builder. So we can have the static class builder, and we will have the only setter of the all the properties, like only set CPU, set RAM, and set storage. And in this case also we will have the this dot CPU equal to whatever the CPU in the parameter we are passing, and then we will be returning this also return this. So this we will do for all the properties. Okay, so our class is ready, and then now in the main class, like suppose we have to prepare the object of this computer object, then we can just say new computer dot builder, and we can just say dot set CPU, and then we can just like whatever the properties we want to set. So we can simply set that only those properties, like set CPU and set RAM only we want. So now we are flexible enough to set only the required properties, and in the end we will say dot build. Okay, so that way we can create the object of the computer. So yeah, so that's how we can do it.
So do you know observer design pattern?
Yeah, observer is like that defines a one-to-many dependency between objects. So when the object's state changes, so all its observers are automatically notified. Yeah, so basically it is useful in the event-driven system, such as a notification service that updates the multiple components in real time. So in that case, it is very much useful. So yeah, so this is the observer design pattern.
So what is the difference between runnable and thread class?
Yeah, Runnable is an interface with a run method. So we can implement it and then pass the instance to a thread object. And a thread is a class we can extend to override run method. Basically, the main difference is that with Runnable we can still extend another class. So since Java supports only single inheritance, so it makes it more flexible. So using Runnable is generally preferred in real projects, so that we have the flexibility to extend another classes. So yeah, so that's what is the difference between these two.
Okay, can you tell me what is an inner class and why is it needed?
Yeah, inner class is a class defined within the another class. So that is what is inner class. So we have the various types of inner class, like non-static, static inner class, the anonymous inner class. So those are there. So its uses are like it is logical grouping of the classes whenever we want, so we can use it. And like encapsulation of helper classes, in that case also we can use it. Also inner class can access all members of outer classes, even like if it is private also. So suppose we have a scenario like this, we can go for the inner class. So basically that makes it easier for the inner class to work closely with the outer classes. So it yeah, and while doing that, it also does not have to expose the data to the outer world. So that's the main advantage. And then for the code readability and organization also, we can use it, like it makes the relationship between the two classes very much clear, and it helps to avoid like much clutter things in the package, because the inner classes stay inside the outer class. So yeah, so these are the advantages are there. Yeah.
Okay, can you tell me why is EnumSet is more efficient than HashSet for enums?
Yeah, so enum set internally uses a bit vector representation, so that makes it extremely compact and fast for enum types. So yeah, so that's the reason. And also it does not use hashing. So operations are like O of 1, that is the order, like it takes to make any calculation with very low memory overhead. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you suppose you have a singleton class. So how would you ensure that a singleton class remains thread safe while minimizing synchronization overhead?
Yeah, for that we can use double check locking. So that pattern we can use with volatile instance variable. So we check if the instance is null, then synchronize only for the first creation. So that basically avoids the necessary locking after initialization. So that way we can do.
So what is the difference between array list and linked list?
Yeah, array list that is resizable array. That is basically very much useful whenever we have the major operation is for the retrieval. So it takes only O of one, like that is the time it takes. And linked list is like internally it uses doubly linked list. So it makes it better for the insertion and deletion in the middle of the list. So O of one is the reference like we it also uses, and yeah, so that's how we can fetch the data and we can do it. So yeah, that's the difference between these two.
Okay, what are the wrapper classes in Java?
Yeah, wrapper classes are used to convert the primitive data types into objects, because we have int, double, boolean and all, right? So we also have been provided with the integer. So that is the wrapper class for the int primitive type, and similarly double is there. We have like in capital D double. So that is the wrapper class for the double primitive type, and boolean is there. So basically it is required when working with collections, whenever we want to access the various methods of the wrapper classes. So in that case we use it. So and we also it also enable utility methods for the type conversion. So yeah, so that's the use of it, and these are the wrapper classes.
So what is the difference between double equal to and dot equals?
Yeah, double equal to compares the references for objects and actual values for primitives, and dot equals basically compares the content of two objects. So the default implementation in object also compares the reference, but many classes like string override it and it compare the content. So basically it comes from the object class initially. So yeah, so that's the difference between these two.
Okay, what are the terminal and non-terminal operations in Java streams?
Yeah, so non-terminal or intermediate operations are like uh, we have map, filter, flat map, distinct, sorted. So these are the non-terminal operations. So basically they transform or filter the data in a stream and return another stream. So they are kind of lazy, so meaning that they don't execute until a terminal operation is called. So terminal operations are like we have collect, for each, reduce, count, then min, max, all of them are terminal operation. So they produce a result or a side effect and terminate the stream pipeline. So yeah, so that's what the terminal and intermediate operations.
Okay, so what is the difference between map and flat map?
Yeah, map basically transforms each element into another object and returns a stream of the same structure. So for example, we have list of strings so that convert each to uppercase. So that is what is the map. And flat map is like we can say it flattens the nested structure before processing. Okay, so for example, if suppose list of list is there, so it will flatten it. Okay, so for example, let's say we have arrays dot as list, and in that again we have arrays dot as list a b, suppose, and then again we have arrays dot as list cd. So these two are the nested inside the arrays list. So if we want to flatten it and as the part of single stream, if you want to display it, in that case we can use flat map for this.
So you know optional, right?
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, so can you tell me what is the difference between optional.off, then optional.off nullable, and optional.empty?
Yeah, so optional dot off means we can give the value. Then it basically it creates an optional containing the given not null value. So it throws null pointer exception if the value is null basically. And optional dot off nullable is like that creates an optional containing the given value if it is not null. Otherwise returns an empty optional. Okay, and optional dot empty it creates an optional with no value. So this is the difference between these three.
Okay. And what is the use of or else and or else get in optional?
Yeah, or else returns the value if present, otherwise it returns the default value, and the default value is evaluated every time. Yeah, or else get basically it returns the value if present, otherwise executes the supplier function to get the value. So supplier is only executed if needed, so it's more efficient. So that's the difference between these two.
And what is the difference between predicate, function, consumer?
A predicate is functional interface that takes one argument and returns a boolean. So that is basically used for filtering, we can say. And function, it also takes one argument of type T and it returns a result of type R. Okay. And consumer also it takes one argument and returns nothing. So that's what is the difference between these three.
Okay, can you give me one small example of predicate?
Yeah, so let's say we have a number and we want to check whether it is even or not. Okay, so we can just say like n like lambda expression n percent 2 equal to 0. Means if it is n percent 2 then it will be n equal to 0, then we say it is even. So we can just say like predicate, we can like return this to predicate object, predicate of integer and is even. So that's how we can do for this. So basically it will filter out uh, all the even numbers only from the list.
Okay, what is the difference between HashMap and concurrent HashMap?
Yeah, HashMap is not thread safe and concurrent HashMap is thread safe, and it uses the segment level locking, and HashMap allows one null key and multiple null values, and concurrent HashMap does not allow null key or null values. And also HashMap is faster in single thread scenarios, and concurrent HashMap is little bit slower, like because we have a synchronization here. So yeah, so that's what is the difference between these two.
Okay, do you know the difference between fail fast and fail safe iterators?
Yeah, so fail fast basically it throws the concurrent modification exception. So if the collection is modified while the iterating, okay. So for example, we have a array list or hash map, and if suppose we are iterating it, and while iterating, suppose if you want to update it, so in that case, it will throw the concurrent modification exception. And fail safe is basically that is the kind of we create the copy of the actual list or map whatever we are using, and then we perform the iteration on top of that, so it won't throw any kind of concurrent modification exceptions. Okay, so for example we have a copy on that array list and we have concurrent hash map, so those we can use to avoid the concurrent modification exception. So this is called fail safe.
Okay, can you tell me what is Spring Boot and why it is used?
Yeah, so Spring Boot is a framework built on top of the Spring framework. So it basically simplifies the application development by the eliminating the various boilerplate configurations and codes. So it basically it provides auto configuration, and It has embedded servers also, like we have the embedded Tomcat, Jetty, and all. So apart from that, it has various production ready features like matrix is there, and like externalization configuration is there, health checks is there. So all those things are there, and then uh, it also have the starter dependencies. So it has like predefined Maven Gradle dependencies for common features. So we don't have to explicitly mention those dependencies. Instead, it automatically downloads the dependencies. So yeah, so these are the basically the features of Spring Boot.
So what is this Spring Boot starter?
Yeah, Spring Boot starter is basically predefined dependency descriptor, we can say. So it simplifies adding common dependencies to the project. So for example, let's say we have Spring Boot starter web. Okay, so that will basically build the web and REST application, and also we have Spring Boot starter data JPA. So for JPA and Hibernate integration, also we can use that, and we also have Spring Boot starter security. So like in one go we can down it will download the all related dependencies, and we don't have to explicitly mention to download the other jars. So yeah, so it will download all related jars automatically.
So what is Spring Boot auto configuration?
So that auto configuration, that is a feature where Spring Boot automatically configures beans based on the dependencies present in the class path. So for example, if Spring Boot starter data JPA is added, so Spring Boot will automatically configure entity manager factory and data source and transaction management without explicit configuration. So yeah, so that's what is the Spring Boot auto configuration.
Okay, what is dependency injection in Spring?
Yeah, dependency injection is a design pattern where an object dependencies are provided externally rather than the object creating them itself. So we have like various types of injection, dependency injection we can do. So we have constructor injection and setter injection, and we also have field injection. So constructor injection, that dependencies are provided via the class constructor, and setter injection is like that dependencies are provided by the setter methods, and field injection, that dependencies are injected directly into fields. So that is what the types of injections we have.
So what is at the rate of Autowired and Qualifier?
The Autowired automatically injects the required dependency by type. So uh, in any of the class we can just say add rate of Autowired, and whatever the object we want we can like once the bean creates those objects, so that object can be injected to that class. And add qualifier is used with Autowired to specify which bean to inject when multiple beans of the same type exist. So that's the basically difference between these two.
Okay, do you know what is command line runner and application runner?
Yeah, so both are used to run some code after the Spring Boot application has started. Command line runner takes the argument as a simple array of strings, and application runner takes the argument as an application argument object, so which is more structured, we can say. So that's the difference between these two.
Okay, what is Spring Data JPA?
Yeah, Spring Data JPA is a Spring module that simplifies the JPA based database accesses. So it reduces the boilerplate code for the DO layers, and it also provides the default CRUD operations through the JPA repository or CRUD repository. So we can use either of them, and then it also supports the query creation from the method names and custom JPQL queries. So that is what is the Spring Data JPA.
Okay, so what is the difference between fetch type lazy and fetch type eager in JPA?
Yeah, lazy means data is loaded only when it is necessary for the first time, So like whenever we use lazy, then it improves the performance, and eager is used whenever the data is loaded immediately with the parent entity. Okay, so in the case of eager, data is loaded immediately with the parent entity, and it can cause performance issue if unnecessary data is fetched. So that's what is the difference between these two. So it all depends on the scenario when we want to use the lazy loading and when we want to load the eager loading.
Okay, can you tell me how to switch between H2 and MySQL depending on the environment?
Yeah, we can configure it in application.properties or YAML file. So with Spring profiles, we can do that like dev and production. Suppose we in the dev we are using H2 DB and MySQL we are using in the production. So we can use application.dev or something like that dot properties we can use, and there we can mention the configurations for the H2 database. And similarly, if we have production database and there suppose we are using MySQL, in that case we can use production dot properties like that we can use. Okay, and then we also have to like activate like which profile we want to activate. So we can run the application like with profiles dot active equal to production we can say. So basically it all this comes under Spring profiles, and this is how we set it.
Okay, so how do you troubleshoot a Spring Boot application if suppose it crashes in production? So can you just tell me the steps which you follow?
Yeah, for that, first of all, we can use logging, like logback uh, by default is there. So we can check the errors over there because that is the centralized logging. Then we can check actuator endpoints, like we can use the health and matrix. So all that we can use to check like and monitor it, like what is wrong. And then if microservices are used, then we can use the tools like circuit breaker and fallback methods are there. So we can use that actually. So that basically helps great to avoid the crashes. And we can also check the logs in the tools like Splunk or ELK stack and all. So we can use that, and if the performance is slow, we can use the caching or database indexing. So first of all, we can find the root cause, and then we can use these technologies like this caching thing and circuit breaker pattern and all to like reduce the that crashing. Yeah.
So you have experience on Git, right?
Yeah, I do have experience on Git.
So how do you resolve merge conflicts in Git?
Yeah, so merge conflict, like first of all, we can check the conflicting files and we can edit them manually to keep the correct changes, and then we can mark them resolved. Like uh, we have the uh, less than and minus sign and greater than minus sign, all that. So that is like whatever was existing and whatever was which has been pulled and whatever has been updated with the code. So based on that we can remove all that and we can fix the code, and then we can just say git add, and whatever the file we have changed, then we that file name we can give, and then we can say git commit minus m, and we can give the commit message, and then we can just say git push.
So what are the day-to-day Git commands you use? Can you name few?
Yeah, so we have git clone to clone the repository, and then we have git pull to pull the latest code, and git add is there, git commit is there, push is there. Then we have git checkout also. So if we want to switch the branches, we use git checkout. Then git merge is there to merge the branches, and git stash is there to temporarily save the changes. Suppose if we have some unchanged data and if we are switching the environment, so that we can do. So yeah, so these are the day-to-day commands we use.
Okay, so in microservices, can you tell me first of all what is microservices?
Yeah, microservices we can say is an architectural style in which an application is built as a collection of a small and loosely coupled and independently deployable services. And like each service focuses on the single business capability actually, and uh, the communication happens between them using the lightweight protocols like HTTP and REST, and it can be deployed independently, and we are not forced to use the any specific programming languages. So we can use the independent programming languages for all different microservices. We can also use the independent like databases, and none of the microservices is dependent on each other like completely. So in case of suppose like any kind of communication is happening between the microservices, and any of the microservices is down or crashed, as I told earlier, so we can use the patterns like circuit breaker pattern, and we can write the fallback methods like in case of it is not working any microservices, then what action should be taken, so that method we can write in that fallback method. So yeah, so these are the advantages are there, and this is what is about microservices.
Okay, so what is Docker and why we use it?
Yeah, Docker is a platform for developing, shipping, and running application inside containers. So we have a Docker because it runs consistently across the whole environment, and it is also lightweight. So it also like each container has its own file system and dependencies. So like there very less chance of any kind of error happens, and also the deployment is kind of very fast. So containers starts quickly compared to like if we are using any other virtual machines. So yeah, so that is what is the Docker.
So what is the difference between Docker image and Docker container?
A Docker image is blueprint for creating containers, and it contains application code dependencies and other configurations. And Docker container is a running instance of a Docker image. So that's what is the difference between these two.
And what is Amazon EC2 in AWS? Do you know?
Yeah, Amazon EC2 is like the full form is Elastic Compute Cloud. So it is a web service that provides a resizable compute capacity in the cloud. So it allows us to launch virtual servers with a specific configuration and scale them whenever it is needed. So that's what is the EC2. Yeah.
Okay, and what is S3?
S3, yeah, that is Amazon S3, and it is like a simple storage service. So that is a object storage service used to store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere. So it is highly scalable and durable, and it stores data as object in buckets, and it supports versioning, lifestyle policies, and encryption. So that's what is S3.
Okay, can you tell me what is the difference between where and having an SQL?
Yeah, where is like that filters the row before grouping. That is used with select basically, and having is used for filtering the group after aggregation. So that is used with group by. So for example, let's say we have a department, and we want to group by a department, and where the count is more than 5. So like in this case we can use like select department comma maybe count of a star from employees if it is employee table, and here we can use group by department because we want to group by department, and then having count of a star greater than 5. So it will give us the department wherever the count is greater than 5. So yeah, so that's the how we use where and having.
Okay, what is the difference between primary key and unique key?
Yeah, primary key is uniquely identifies the record. So that is what is the primary key, and it can be only one in a table and it cannot be null. Okay, but unique key is also that is used for the unique key, I mean unique element, and but the difference is that it can be null and it can be multiple also in the table. So that's the difference between these two.
And what is foreign key?
Yeah, the foreign key is something which links two tables. Okay, so it ensures the referential integrity basically. So meaning that it is a value in one table must exist in another table. Okay, so for example, let's say we have a we have order table and like and we have a customer table. Okay, so there might be in the customer we might have the customer ID, there might be a column, and that customer ID might be present in both customers and orders. So customer, let's say it has customer ID, so that will be the primary key for customer ID, but this customer ID in orders will be the foreign key. So that's what is the foreign key.
Okay. And what is the difference between delete, truncate, and drop?
Yeah, delete removes the specific rows and uh, it is basically slower, and truncate removes all rows. So and drop deletes the entire table structure itself. So that's the difference between these three.
Okay.